Hello! It was really nice seeing that my last OC lore video did so much better than I expected, and I honestly meant to make this video months ago, but life kind of got in the way. I'm really excited about it though, as this was the first story I ever tried to write. Granted, it has changed a lot, but I tried to keep a lot of core elements the same. The original is going to make me cringe so bad, but it was my choice to make this video, so I guess I can only blame myself. Okay, so it's hard for me to say exactly what the solid plot was because I kept only listening to music and imagining the same 3 scenes, but I think it went something like this. The world is post-alien invasion after they saved humans from a global warming crisis. The aliens have integrated with humans to create a society where they coexist. I did have it that the aliens believed they were superior to humans, but there wasn't too much of that in the actual story, apart from there being a law that humans had to get a job by age 14. The setting was supposed to be really far in the future, but again, I was really bad at world building. Emily and Oliver attended their average secondary school when suddenly, on a random Tuesday or something, they got a mysterious new student, a guy called Blake. Don't talk to me about the names, I know. Sorry if you can hear any violin in the background, my housemate is practicing. Anyway, fast forward and somehow they befriend him and hang out with him outside of school. One of these times, they walked by a building on fire and saw a guy emerging from the smoke and flames. His name was Aiden, but they don't know that at this point. A bunch more dramatic cliches happen, like there's an evil dictator who looks like he could be an anime boy from Yu-Gi-Oh! I think Oliver dies and then comes back to life later on. I remember Emily takes the full blame for his death from Blake, and they don't like each other for like the rest of the story. And there was this revolution, which I don't even know what they were revolting against, and this government woman who was hunting Aiden. I think Aiden actually dies. Yeah, the whole thing was honestly just a mess, and I just had way too many characters, but I was so obsessed with it for some reason. I haven't rewritten the entire plot yet, but I've changed a bunch. But yeah, it's still quite loose. When I made Emily, I was freshly 13, and she was basically just me, but a little older and with no flaws. She had anime girl pigtails? A super edgy boyfriend, Blake, was probably a tsundere and everyone loved her. Oh, both her and Blake also started out as human designs for my furry OCs, but after I decided to make a story with them, I changed Emily a little. Right? Wrong, she is exactly the same character as she was before, but this time she had a childhood friend that she had been in love with for years, Oliver. I didn't want to make a love triangle, so I just decided that Blake hates her now. The most recent version of the alien story was that Emily becomes obsessed with the revolution and sacrifices herself at the end. Oddly enough, the only character that hasn't died at some point in this story is Blake, and I always liked him the least. The story now takes place at a university. At some point down the road, I renamed Emily to Evelyn because I thought Emily was too boring, and I'm sorry to anyone named Emily, there's no shade being thrown to you. Her name is now Evelyn Walker, Evie for short. She is 18 years old and she has just started her first year. But this university has something more sinister under the surface that I haven't actually gotten all the details for yet. Evie only just got the base grades to sign in, and she was originally really excited because this place is super prestigious and she's very ambitious. But when she gets there, she finds out that she has to take a different program. In order to take the course she wants, she has to do something else, like fight monsters at night or something along those lines. I haven't fully decided yet, but at the moment I like the idea of the monsters being manifestations of the students' stress, and there would be some mystery around why it's only the official students and why only at that university. But Evie is super pissed off about this because it isn't what she was promised or what she's paying for, but she is committed to getting into the course she wants, which at the moment is law related. I always kind of hated Blake Hart ever since I exited my I love drawing edgy OCs just because they're edgy and traumatized phase that every 13-year-old goes through, but he was a key part of the story and I couldn't figure out how to change him. He used to even wear a black shirt that just had the word edgy written on it. A little while ago, I changed him to be less of an edgy loner and just a very socially inept guy that had the appearance of one, but now, while he's still fairly socially inept, he kind of covers for it by the way he looks down on the monster hunters, I guess that's what they're called now. He's only enlisted in the program as their supervisors, but believes he's beyond such things. In the original version, Blake had grown up in a lab in an experiment to comprehend the full capability of the human brain, which resulted in him getting fire powers. I kind of wanted to keep the experimentation part of the story, but do it in a more creative way because Aiden was also a massive part in this aspect of the story. This is really off topic, but a couple years ago I stumbled across this manga called Imakoi, and I have never heard of it in my life, but I just looked at the cover and I was like, huh? I mean, look at them. I swear to God, Blake used to have an earring when he and Evie were dating in the story, but I could not find any proof of it, so you'll just have to trust me. Anyway, I would say out of all of the characters in the group, he probably tolerates Evie the most, because while she is in the Monster Hunter program, at least she's very hardworking. To be honest with his visual design, I think I'm having the most trouble with his outfit, as usual. I want to give him like an academic asshole kind of outfit, so I'll probably end up changing his hair, but nothing is sticking at the moment. I guess it's not a big deal, because I probably won't do anything with these characters apart from drawing them in my free time. Okay, imagine the sweetest, loveliest, most friendly golden retriever boy ever. Childhood best friends to lovers trope, airheaded but well-intentioned, and would do anything for the people he loves. Okay, now take that boy and set him on fire and replace him with the most annoying man you would ever meet at uni. He doesn't do his work in group projects, he's lazy, he is flaky, he has a bad attitude. That's the current Oliver Weber. I almost feel bad for desecrating his personality so bad, but I like his dynamic with Evie so much more now. In the original version, their relationship is basically a given because of how obviously he pines for her. But in the new one, I almost didn't want them to date at all based off of how opposite to Evie he is now. While she is ambitious and driven, he just wants to cruise through his course just so his parents would get off his back. Although, Oliver did get the base grades, which shows he is clearly a smart guy, he just refuses to show for it. When he was in school, his parents pushed him so hard that he would always be on top of his classes, but he got sick of it, and is now lazily... I know how to speak. I'm not gonna take that again, I'm just gonna keep going. And he is now lazy, basically out of spite. He did kind of have this sort of home life in the original version, and he did kind of not try anymore, but not nearly to this extent. When he and Evie meet after being put on the same monster hunting team, he complains about not wanting to do any work, and she's basically like, "Get over yourself, loser," and he's all like, "Oh, okay." And after I decided that, I knew I wanted them to have some kind of romance and turned his pining up to 11. Aiden Bennett was my favourite character in this whole story for a long time, which you can actually see on my channel in real time from 2021 based off how often I animated him. He was the snarky, super powerful, super traumatized character that used humour to hide his true emotions. And for some reason I always drew him doing the same face. In the original story, he had grown up with Blake in the lab, both developing fire powers, and they were like brothers. However, Blake had been allowed to leave first because his powers were stable and Aiden's needed more tests. He was not happy about this and has a very reasonable crash out and literally blows the lab up. The instability part comes from the fact that his firepower was actually killing him every time he used it, and that's why he had the burn scars. I'm not gonna lie, I can't speak for everyone, but I don't think burn scars really take this shape. I was actually wondering if I should make it more of a visual effect of his power instead of a scar, because it would look kind of odd if I suddenly took them away, or I could just fully commit to the scars and draw them to look like an actual injury. Anyway, I made this really odd animation about this in 2020 called My Story and OCs, but without context this time, and I didn't add any music, it's just completely silent. I don't know, I thought it was kind of odd. The new version of Aiden actually might be the least finished. I mean, not that any of these characters are actually finished. Embarrassingly, I still like drawing him with fire powers, so I really wanted to keep that. I'm not sure if he should already be at the university or if he should be new as well, but I like the idea of him being part of a bigger plot that helps Evelyn and her other friends uncover the mystery behind the institution. I recently started watching Gen V from the Boys universe, and I am so invested, but it's got a really similar base plotline, so I need to think about it a bit more. I do know how Aiden's interactions with the other characters would look. He's pretty similar in terms of being snarky, but instead of briefly antagonizing the group before joining them, he's gonna be on their side the whole time, but is just a diabolical rage baiter. I originally thought Blake would be the no-brainer victim of it because of how connected they were in the original version, but I thought about it for more than a minute and was like, Oliver is the perfect rage bait victim. Honestly, I drew them interacting in a similar way in 2021, but I barely ever drew them together at all. So again, I kind of just cranked it up to 11, and I would also just like to say that his hair now looks basically exactly how I intended it to when I first designed him, and I blame my Nagito Komaeda obsession for the reason he looked like that for so long. Of course, there are other characters, Evie's best friend April and her super cool goth girlfriend Jade, this random called Casper, who I'm not even sure if they should be in it anymore. I also need to come up with more villains because look at this guy. What is this? I hate him. So who knows, I might end up making a part 2. I don't know. Depends how this goes. And I don't know how to do outros. Oh my god, I also updated my persona, isn't it cool? Okay, bye.